Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Olivia Henderson. First, I'll look at the background of this case, including the timeline of the alleged crime, then offer my analysis. Olivia Rose Henderson was born in 2002 and lived in Oswego, New York. She worked as a driver for DoorDash. On October 12, 2025, at about 11:15 p.m., 23-year-old Olivia delivered food picked up from a Wendy's restaurant to a man's residence in Oswego. I will refer to the man using his first name, Austin. During the delivery, Austin was on his couch inside the home. He was not wearing any clothing from the waist down and appeared to be unconscious. Olivia video recorded Austin from outside the home and posted the video on a social media platform called TikTok. She indicated that Austin requested the option for her to leave the order at his front door. She arrived 15 minutes after the order was placed to find his door wide open. This seemed odd because it was cold outside. Austin was in plain view of the front door. Olivia could see that he was suffering from an apparel deficit. She implied that Austin's behavior was intentional, like he arranged this so she would see him without clothing. Olivia contacted the police on October 13, which was the day after the incident. The police told her that they were going to talk to Austin. According to a police report, an officer did speak to Austin. He told the officer that he had gone out to bars that night. Later, he woke up and realized his front door was open. On his phone, Austin saw the photograph Olivia left of the food delivery, which also captured his open front door and him on the couch in a clothing-challenged state. He told the police this was not normal, and he was sorry it happened. Austin was informed that he would not be charged. However, if this became a recurring issue, potentially he could be charged. Austin promised that it would not happen again. The police justified the decision not to charge him by saying there was a lack of intent and Austin was in his own home. Olivia continued to post videos about the incident on social media. She said that DoorDash deactivated her account 2 days after she reported what she referred to as a sexual assault. She complained that DoorDash did not give her a reason for the account deactivation, declaring, quote, "I was working. I was literally working, and they deactivated me," unquote. Olivia claimed that she was punished for posting about the alleged assault. She emphatically stated, quote, "They just fired me, and the police are doing nothing. I lost my job. That was my only way to make money to pay my bills," unquote. In another video, she accused the police, DoorDash, and TikTok of punishing her. Her videos were taken down, but posting videos is the only justice she is going to get. Therefore, she will not stop. Olivia repeated her story about how she arrived at Austin's home to deliver his order and found him conducting an experiment in minimalism, so to speak. DoorDash banned the customer and then 2 days later banned her. She was never supplied a reason for the ban. Toward the end of the video, Olivia proclaimed, "I'm the victim." In a video released on October 16, 2025, Olivia thanked people for the overwhelming support that she received, and she offered an update about her situation. She was upset because DoorDash had posted on social media about why her account was deactivated. Olivia was made aware at the same time as the public. As Olivia was expressing her rage and asserting her status as a victim, investigators determined that she was not the victim of any crime, including an assault of a sexual nature. To the contrary, they believe that Olivia actually broke the law when she video recorded Austin and posted the video. On November 10, 2025, Olivia Henderson was arrested and charged with unlawful surveillance in the second degree and dissemination of unlawful surveillance image in the first degree. These charges are Class E felonies. Olivia is facing 1 to 4 years in prison if convicted. At the time I'm making this video, Olivia Henderson is making her way through the criminal justice system. Court records indicate she is being represented by the Public Defender's Office. Her next court date is December 4, 2025. Now moving to my analysis. Presumably, Olivia Henderson maintains her innocence. Not long before her arrest, she was claiming that Austin was the perpetrator and she was a victim. The state of New York disagrees. They believe that Olivia crossed the line because Austin had an expectation of privacy when he was embracing the less is more approach to home attire. This brings me to the question, is Olivia guilty of unlawful surveillance, and dissemination. Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that she is guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. There is no question that Olivia, while standing outside of Austin's home, video recorded him inside the home. Austin did not give her consent to be recorded, and he appeared to be unconscious. It was clear that Olivia realized Austin was in a clothing-free state. This is why she recorded the video and why she later posted it. His clothing deficit was the gravamen of her complaint. In the state of New York, recording a person's intimate parts without their consent is a crime when that person has a reasonable expectation of privacy. Moving to the exculpatory factors, Austin ordered a DoorDash delivery from Wendy's and specified that he wanted his food left at his front door. He left the front door open while positioned on his couch in a clothing-challenged state, despite knowing that the order was on its way. According to Olivia, only 15 minutes passed between when the order was placed and her arrival. Did Austin just happen to pass out in that short amount of time? Why was he not wearing any clothing when his front door was open? Even if he passed out unexpectedly, he was taking a massive risk by having that door open. Anyone could have seen him in that revealing state. Did he really have an expectation of privacy when he left his door open? When Olivia arrived, she noticed Austin's clothing deficit and video recorded him. Citizens are encouraged to video record people who they believe might be breaking the law. In this case, the police determined that Austin was not breaking the law, but Olivia did not know that. It is understandable that she felt as though she may have to record for self-protection and to document a potential crime. Furthermore, when she made this recording, she was in a place that she was lawfully allowed to be. She had been invited to be there by Austin. It wasn't like Olivia entered the house and recorded him. Austin's lack of clothing was his fault. That was not a choice that Olivia made. She simply recorded what was plainly visible in front of her. When considering the evidence in this case that is available so far, do I believe that Olivia is guilty? No, in my opinion, she is not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of unlawful surveillance. When a person is standing in a place they are allowed to be and they video record, that is not a crime. Under New York law, if the surveillance was conducted legally, then she cannot be guilty of disseminating it. Therefore, she would not be guilty of dissemination either. There have been rumors that the door of Austin's home was not open all the way when Olivia arrived and she opened it. If those rumors are true, that information would have a substantial impact on my opinion, but there is no credible evidence supporting those claims at this moment. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Austin ended up in a clothing-challenged state because he was intoxicated. No one can prove that he deliberately set Olivia up for an unpleasant discovery. However, it was reasonable for Olivia to suspect that he did. She had the right to be offended. She had the right to investigate. But she overplayed her hand when she accused Austin of conducting an assault of a sexual nature. Olivia never accused Austin of making physical contact with her. It appears as though she was misusing the term assault. Maybe she used that term simply to emphasize her status as a victim. She was embellishing a bit. Either way, she attracted the attention of the police, and they charged her with something that is not fully supported by the evidence. Now Olivia is in a defensive position, which will restrict her ability to make offensive moves. Essentially, the police silenced her. Olivia made her claims in the most obnoxious way possible, and her repeated emphasis that she was a victim irritated a lot of people. Even so, what Austin did was unacceptable. It may not have been illegal, but it's worth noting the police did warn him the charges were possible if he did it again. I'm surprised that the state of New York pushed forward with this case against Olivia. This was probably a situation where they should have just walked away from both people with no charges. Maybe they know something highly inculpatory that the public does not know, but I am not willing to give the state the benefit of the doubt. Now moving to my final thoughts. There have been a lot of strong opinions expressed about this case. Some people view Austin as innocent and Olivia as guilty, including the state of New York. Others view Austin as the perpetrator and Olivia as the victim, just like Olivia repeatedly stated in her videos. There is a third group who views both of them as in the wrong. I think that third group may be onto something. Perhaps this was just a case of two terrible people being on opposite sides of a DoorDash order. Those are my thoughts in the case of Olivia Henderson. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. So this is one of those cases where I think a thought experiment might be in order. So instead of Olivia and Austin, let's set up a fictitious scenario that involves Jane, the DoorDash delivery driver, and John, a man who lives in a home in Oswego and orders DoorDash. So the circumstances are set up exactly the same, other than we're not dealing with the actual people. We're talking about Jane and John. So there's a Wendy's order. Jane's delivering this late at night, and John is in a compromised state on his couch just inside the door of his home. In many of the cases I've covered, I talked about this idea how the outcome is sometimes looked at as very important as opposed to what people actually did. So in this situation, you have Jane delivering the order, except in this case, the outcome is different. Instead of her simply recording John and then leaving and posting the videos on social media and contacting the police and all that stuff, as she's recording him on the front porch of the home, he gets up from the couch and he charges at her. So John charges at Jane. She runs away screaming. Maybe he chases her down the street for a few hundred yards or whatever. She has been video recording this the whole time, so he was in a state of undress in his home and, of course, maintained that status as he wandered outside. But she still started the recording when he was inside the home. So again, everything starts out the same. The only difference is the outcome. Now, John does something clearly criminal and runs after Jane, puts her in fear for her safety and maybe worse. So he's chasing her down the street. He runs out of energy and she manages to get away. Maybe she runs to a neighbor's house or something like that. So if people were to look at the same set of circumstances, except with this different outcome, they may be inclined to think of Jane as a hero. Here is a young woman who went to this guy's home, and he was an offender after all, or he was about to be, and she video recorded him, and in doing so, she helped prosecute him. Like, this is what puts him in jail. So again, she's a hero. She stopped his criminal career, or at least put it on pause. If Jane had not been recording, then there might not be enough evidence to prosecute John, and then later on, he goes on, he offends against somebody else, and there's a much worse outcome. So I think this is an interesting thought experiment because with that outcome, Jane looks like she's fully justified in initially recording. The state of New York would not have charged her. They wouldn't have said, well, all that recording you did when he was chasing you down the street, that's legal. But you recording him inside the home, well, that part is illegal and you're going to have to go to prison for a while. That doesn't make any sense. There would have been no charges. This was really an outcome-based prosecution. Again, based on the current evidence that's available right now. I don't know what else might be out there. Clearly, there could be more inculpatory factors I don't know about. To be fair, there could be more exculpatory factors too. Either way, so they would not have charged her. They would have let this go. They would not have split hairs and said, well, maybe you started recording just a little early. Clearly, somebody in a state of undress in that situation where they could have arranged it, right? John, in this scenario, could have arranged it so Jane went to the home and saw him in that state. Clearly, that's someone who could be thought of as dangerous. And Jane was in tune with that, like she recognized that, and she starts recording. And it's a good thing that she did, right? In this hypothetical scenario, in this fictitious scenario just designed as part of a thought experiment. So I think that it is important to recognize how outcomes tend to bias how people think about the behaviors that led to the outcome. I've talked about this in other videos. Like, imagine a situation where a person is driving under the influence and they almost hit somebody at a crosswalk. The person barely gets out of the way. They miss them by like an inch. Yet you could look at another scenario where they didn't, right? The person didn't make it and they killed them. One person is just a drunk driver. The other person is a monster. but they were both taking the same risk. So the outcome should not drive how the behavior is perceived. In this case, in this hypothetical scenario with Jane and John, I think that it's pretty clear that Jane did not commit a crime. In the original case that I was talking about, I feel the same way. The outcome doesn't change things for me as far as the observable behavior. So I'm going by the behavior, not how it just happened to turn out. So that thought experiment might help to process this case. I know a lot of people feel passionately about this. Some people look at Olivia and they see someone who is the victim. A lot of people look at it differently. They look at her as a monster who was exaggerating what Austin did and really playing the victim in a very overt way. It was kind of obvious that nothing happened to her. So a lot of strong opinions, but it is important to look at the evidence that's available and evaluate it without passion or prejudice. Feelings can sometimes mislead people. And when this case goes to trial, if it goes to trial, the jury is going to need to look at just the facts and decide, is Olivia really guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Or was there some doubt introduced because of the behavior that Austin engaged in? Did he, perhaps unintentionally, cause this whole series of events to occur and therefore put Olivia in an impossible position? It is an interesting case, and I am curious to see how it's going to turn out.